Hey, Prowler Nation, it's Pastor Joel once again. I'm in my study. Like many of you, the weather has had a direct bearing on a lot of what we can do right now. But this is episode 14, and it is just a joy to be able to come back to you and encourage you. And I start today with one of my favorite verses of Scripture in all of the New Testament. It's in Philippians chapter 1 and verse 6 that says, "And I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ." I know that some of us are waiting. We talked a little bit last week about the transfer portal and waiting on God, waiting on God's timing, waiting on that phone call from a coach, waiting. But let me remind you that waiting time is not wasted time. Several quotes that have meant a lot to me over the years, and maybe you as a student athlete and you're really trying to pray through, what do I do next? I know God has started something in me, but what is God going to continue to do in me? One of my favorite quotes is a Winston Churchill quote that simply says, "We make a living by what we do, but we make a life by what we give." I think back over the years to a lot of my coaches, a lot of these men that love the game of football, love the game of baseball, and they poured into me, and they poured into my teammates, and they poured into my classmates, and they made an incredible difference in my life. And here I am now, all these years later, out of school, almost 44 years, and I'm thinking back to what kind of difference they made in me. And because they were willing to give and pour into me, I've now been able to give and pour into others. That's what athletics should be about. You know, once a player, one day will become a coach. And we may coach our own children, we may coach the children of others. But please note that what he started in you, he wants to finish in you. Because life is a journey of journeys. And as I look at my notes, again, it's all about the relationship. I've come to the realization that the real meaning of life is not a journey question or an arrival question. It is a relationship question. Who are you developing relationships with? I'm not talking about your blood family, but I'm talking about your teammates, your coaches, your professors or your instructors or your teachers. All of this combines to help us to recognize just what I started out with a few moments ago, that I am sure of this, that he, Jesus, who began a good work in you and in me, will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. And so maybe you are in that waiting time. You're still working out. You're still striving to do everything that you need to do to prepare you for the next part of your journey. But recognize that God is probably teaching you something in the midst of this. Maybe he's humbling you. Maybe you're not the fastest or the strongest or the biggest right now. And what you're going through right now is to help you to continue to put in the work, that you won't get the big head. You won't think that I've got everything that I need. All of us as athletes know that we can continually improving our speed, improving our strength, improving our eating habits, all of these things. It is part of a holistic look at where we've been compared to where we are going. I know that part of the job of a coach, part of the job of a pastor, part of the job of any leader is to grow young boys into men and grow young ladies into women. Now, because of what I do for a living, we call it discipleship. What you may call it is simply coaching or being the recipient of coaching. So I want to challenge you today as we think through this process of an athlete. Some of you started out like gangbusters when you were very young, and then as the years have gone by, the athleticism has sort of leveled out, the playing field has leveled out, and maybe you're not the stud that you used to be because you were the fastest, the strongest, and the biggest. Well, here's what you need to remember, that what God started in you, he's going to finish in you. So don't get overwhelmed. Don't get to the point that I'm not going to do anything else simply because I'm not as good, not as fast, not as strong, not as big. You stay the course because God started something in you in Philippians chapter 1, and He wants to finish it in you as well. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in episode 14. It is our joy to do this each week. I hope it's a blessing to you. I know it's a blessing to me. God bless you guys, and we'll see you next week.